We are online. Good morning, everybody. It is Friday in my world. I'm not sure if it is Friday yet where you are, but it's Friday morning here, and it's my turn to do another Q&A live chat. It's actually number 5, so it is really exciting. I do love these. This week, I might just give everybody a couple of minutes to jump online before I get started. This week's been exciting. We wrapped up about what felt like 17 public holiday weeks. So for what seems like forever, we've all been doing 4-day working weeks, and next week it's 5 days. So back to reality, and I'm not looking forward to that, but here we are. And what else happened? I don't know if any of you guys, you probably don't follow my stories, but for anyone who knows me, I've had for a really long time a favorite mug, and it said, when life gets you down, or something about when life gets you down, we call them squats or something like that. It's been my favorite mug for years and years and years. And during the week, actually it was Monday, I was making a cup of tea and the mug just cracked right down like here and can't be repaired. So it's been a tough week. For anyone who loses a mug that you are just in love with, and then you have to find another mug, there's a hole there. There's a big hole that needs to be fixed. So, I mean, emotionally I've been okay. It's just been a real struggle trying to figure out like the water to milk ratio in this cup because it is smaller. So anyway, yeah, that's my drama for the week. But I can see a few people that have tuned in. Just put a thumbs up or a heart or something if you can hear me. Otherwise, it could just be me talking to myself. So this week, I only have one question, which is great. I get off the hook. But Matt has asked this question, and I know what he's done here. He's asked a loaded question in a way that has made me have a real think about this. His question is, Courtney and I recently did a podcast about superpowers. You need to succeed with this. From your perspective, what superpowers are the most essential to have or develop to make meaningful progress with your transformation? Bonus question, what do you consider your best superpowers that have helped you get this far? So thank you, Matt, for this question. I know that you have asked me this personally before, just in general chat, but this is a really good question to ask where I can share it with the group. And I actually can't really remember my response because it was some time ago. I'm going to say upwards of a year ago that you asked me a very, very similar question. So I've had a really good time to have a think about this and think about, you know, what kind of superpowers I thought I needed the most, and then what I believe other clients need the most so that they can achieve their own form of success, you know, in their own right. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna split this up into sort of a couple of sections, because you need different superpowers to get you through each phase of your personal transformation, and you know, that journey word that they use, but you know, it is a journey because it's not just from getting from point A to point B. There's a lot of effort and work that goes into getting there, and I like to call them phases, because you have to go through specific parts of your transformation to make them happen. And as you become more advanced and more knowledgeable about your transformation, you need different superpowers so that everything can stick together. So I thought I'm just going to start at, I have not alone. Everybody, where are you? Just 1 minute. For everyone that is new to the group, new clients, just 1 second. Frankie. Frankie's just come to join us. So this is Frankie. Franklin, my little Frankfurt sausage. Okay. He has a complex. He is bipolar. He is 100% Chihuahua, but he is also a German Shepherd on the inside. So he is my partner's dog, but he's very beautiful. So he's just come to sit with me. For everyone who hasn't seen the dogs, I've got 3 of these. Good boy. Going over in your bed. So anyway, sorry about that. Getting back to my question. So Matt's asked the question about what superpowers we need to have to get to our own form of success. So I'm going to break it up, start from the beginning. And so the beginning is basically when you're starting your transformation and you've just made that choice to commit. That's pretty much at that stage where we come in and start working with you guys. So I believe that the first superpower that you need to have when you're starting off in your transformation is the love of learning and the love of forgiveness to yourself. I believe that when you start working with us, a lot of the education and the materials and the resources that we give you, conflict a lot of the old stuff that you've done in the past. And there does take a love of learning to stay committed to learning what's involved and, understand the mechanisms as to why we're coaching you this, the reason why it's so effective. And in doing that, what I believe can happen, and I certainly, was touched by this myself, is in the love of learning things, you're having to unlearn a lot of old ways, a lot of, thought processes, and replacing those thoughts and that old knowledge that's now obsolete with new things. And in that process, highlights things that you've done wrong in the past, highlights the fact that you've done things and made decisions that haven't served you well. And alongside that can just reignite or ignite a lot of resentment about what you haven't done, and potentially that unrealistic expectation that, you should have known. Why didn't you know how to look after yourself better? Like, this information is so clear. Why didn't I get it right in the first place? A lot of those thoughts can start, rearing its head. So I really believe that when you are starting off and beginning your transformation, that you need to embrace that love of learning and also forgiveness as well, so that you can forgive yourself for what has happened in the past, so that the resentment and all those negative emotions don't keep you where you are and dictate further growth, because they can. We've seen it happen. People just get so caught up in the past that they don't make any progress moving forward, and that just doesn't solve any problems. If anything, it just digs your hole a little bit deeper. So definitely the love of learning and the love of forgiveness. Now, the next one on my list is probably, I'll call this like an intermediate superpower that you need. So when you've been in your transformation and you've been working on yourself for a good, I'm going to say 8 months, anywhere up to 2 years, because everyone's on their own journey, is, learning different and progressing differently. So an intermediate can be someone from, earlier in the piece, say, 8 or 9 months to, a couple of years in. And I believe that the superpower that you need as an intermediate is fairness and patience. So having those 2 superpowers, fairness and patience, can come, it is a good one to learn. Really, I don't think we come with this, even though we like to tell ourselves, oh yeah, I've got a long-term mindset, I am so patient with this. I think when you become an intermediate, it kind of really hits home as to the time frame that you're looking at. And I believe that the patience thing has really got to play a part for you to be successful. In conjunction with that, the fairness superpower is an absolute mandatory one, because in the patience being executed, you have to be fair with yourself. And that pretty much boils down to a sense of entitlement. I've been doing this now for 9 months, 12 months, 18 months, and why haven't I achieved X, Y, Z? And the sense of entitlement starts to kick in. So you have to be very fair with yourself when you become an intermediate, and that will just help keep you balanced and on track. Excuse me. Now the next one, I would classify this as someone who is advanced. An advanced person could be someone who is anywhere from 2 years onwards into their journey, and I believe that this one for me still applies. So even though I've long surpassed 2 years in my journey, I really believe that I call on these superpowers sometimes, regardless of how long I've been doing it. So I would say you need the power of advocacy. The power of advocacy to yourself. So you're pretty much having to stand your ground, and don't let the just this once become more than often, because you can justify to yourself, I've been doing this long enough, I know I can rely on my habits. It happens. You let just this once become more than often, and all of a sudden you start taking more backward steps, and it just becomes one of those things where you have to advocate for the person you've become. You have to stand your ground for the choices you make for yourself, and advocate for the person that you've transformed to be. And I feel like that's a little bit of an empowering type thing, but you pretty much have to believe in yourself and stand your ground. For me, one of the things that I learnt, this is going back a little while now, was my attachment style. Now, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, what the hell is your attachment style? It's a psychological theory that's been proven like time and time and time again. And it's based on how you perceive yourself amongst others, and how that dictates your personal worth, and personal advocacy to set goals, to be in relationships, to feel emotion, and emotion for all spectrums. So the highest of highs and the lows of lows, and experiencing those emotions in a secure way. So if anyone is listening to this and thinks, what is she on about with this attachment style? It is much deeper than that. But once I learned about my attachment style and the very basic theories behind it, I was like, poof, like it was, to be honest, it completely changed my life. And a very, very little sneak peek into my upcoming podcast season 6, I have actually interviewed another fellow podcaster who has shared her knowledge with the attachment style and how it relates to our personal health, our personal well-being, and how we just perceive ourselves and our self-worth just in general in everyday life. So I've actually interviewed her, because when I listened to her podcast, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was like, why didn't I listen to this years ago? I feel like it would have helped me. So when you become advanced, I feel like you do need to start advocating for yourself and standing your ground, and really settling into the person you're becoming, and just show no unjust to people that try to challenge that, because there will be people that come at you that try and, oh, Megan doesn't drink, oh, just one, come on, you'll be fine. And it's like, no, I'm not really into that. Don't get me wrong, like years and years ago, sure, I would have fallen for that, but you just have to advocate for the person that you've become, and who you want to be as well. Now, the last part of Matt's question is, what do you consider to be like my best superpowers that have helped me get this far? So in conjunction to pretty much learning about my attachment style and how to advocate for myself in a really positive way, I would have to say that one of my superpowers, or actually there's kind of two really. I would have to say the superpower of adaptability and resilience. Pretty much for me, like, and I feel like this is going to hit home for a lot of people, but it just in completely different ways. You know, being able to adapt to whatever life throws at you is a skill. And in this case, we're just calling it a superpower. But for me, learning the art of being adaptable to what happens in my life, you know, external influences that happen that we can't control, has pretty much saved like me from going backwards, because I've put a lot of effort into, you know, growing our resilience muscle, which we talk about a lot, you know, amongst our client group. Growing that resilience muscle means that you become so adaptable in staying on track physically, but emotionally as well, because things happen in life and you just think, oh my God, this is, you know, stressful, this is upsetting, like this is just, you know, really taking a toll on the inside. So it's about sort of being adaptable and being able to look inwards a lot, and you know, being able to sort of, you know, self-regulate your things. So being adaptable to any environment. So, you know, I can go away and travel, I can be amongst my friends who just love a drink, they love eating shit food, but they're the most adorable, loving people. And even though that is technically a toxic environment, I've put a lot of effort into being adaptable to that environment so it no longer affects my choices. So I'm not tempted to drink, you know, not nearly as much. I think I'll probably have maybe 1 or 2 drinks a month. And I'm quite resilient in maintaining that. So for me, I feel like that's pretty much been my own superpower that's helped me stay where I am, because I am a social person. I do love going out to see my friends. I love live music. I love people watching. I just love being amongst people. And in doing that, you become surrounded by, you know, options and choices that could potentially derail you. So it's about being adaptable to those environments and learning how to hold yourself and make choices in those environments, and then just having that resilience to stick it out. Because I feel like when I first started making a lot of different choices for myself, it was okay, like I could go out once or twice and just not drink, but I felt like it was really hard to just maintain that. So developing that skill of resilience has really been a lifesaver for me. And now, to be honest, it's not even a non-event for me. Like every weekend nearly, we have, you know, parties or you know, events and things like that go on, and people have really they've just let it go. They've come around to the fact that I don't really drink. You know, I take my food with me if we can. Last week we went and did we're supposed to go camping, but the weekend was really bad weather, so we ended up doing a day trip and just drove all the way around, like wherever the road led us. And I bought like an esky full of food, and my friends don't even bat an eyelid anymore, and I think that's a really comfortable place to be. But I couldn't have done that without being, you know, resilient and you know, pretty much advocated for myself to stand my ground and the choices I wanted to make. And to be honest, all my friends like, are you gonna have that like frittata thing? Because like, can I try? You know, oh, that looks like a good salad. What's in that? So, you know, they're always so inquisitive now, and but they never were at the start. So just as much as I've come a long way in adapting to my ways, so have they. And now they always ring me up for, like, you know, food advice, and I'm like, oh, I am not the world's greatest cook, so please don't come my way. I'm not responsible. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on Matt's question in superpowers. So when you're starting off and you're in the beginning, I feel like you need the love of learning, and in that you need to have the passion for forgiveness for yourself, so you don't fall back into that resentment, what you didn't do in the past, or what you think you should have known before you started working with us. Intermediate level, the superpower of fairness and patience, so you don't get caught up thinking, why aren't I seeing any results when I've been doing this for so long? You don't feel entitled. and patience, so that you've got that determination to stick it out with the time frame that your body is dictating to you. And lastly, advance, which is personal advocacy. So you stand your ground. You just don't let just this once become more than often and start railing you back, and don't fall into that trap of thinking I'm advanced, so I should be able to just, you know, switch it on, you know, whenever I like. Because if you do things enough, then, you know, you will derail. So that's pretty much what I think on superpowers to make this happen. And I'd like to hear of anyone who sort of, you know, really felt like any of those superpowers just resonated with them, because I'm just one person, and obviously have coached for quite a few years now, so that's my personal and professional perspective. But I'd really like to hear some other ideas as well. What has Andrea written? I can see your name here. Just one second. Great point. So often we can easily slip into the entitlement mindset. Oh yeah. Yep. Entitlement is one of those ones that can rear its head anytime. Entitlement can come in the beginning or deep into, you know, your advanced years of doing that. Because when you start, you think, okay, I've started, why isn't it changing straight away? And entitlement can rear its head when you know, years and years into your journey, and you're like, you know, I'm a professional now, I should be getting this stuff. But yeah. Leanne, thanks, and yes, it has made so much sense and something that's helped me for sure. Well, that's great, Leanne. I'm so glad you have gotten a lot from that. That's why we're here. And next time, if you see the Q&As come up, please ask us your own question. We'd love to help. I don't think anyone else has got anything to say today. It'll be a little short one. All right, well, everyone, I'm just going to wrap this up, because I know your time is very precious. It's valuable. Go away and have an awesome end to the week and an awesome weekend coming up. And yeah, I'll see you in the group. See ya.